foliage fresh as spring, I'll have it in and out of sight in a flash. There are 100 ways to hide your stash. Fill up the cupboard, hide the evidence, pile it in the pantry, spare no expense. Keep it with the kids' clothes, leave it with the wine. Keep it all together where the sun don't shine. Put it in a Safeway bag, bring it in with the groceries. Call it Christmas presents, and don't you peek. You're keeping it for a friend who's gone to Calgary. She'll be back soon, no there's none for me. Don't tell him what you owe the store. He might start looking in the dryer or the drawer. It's an affliction breeding secrecy. These guilty pleasures that won't let me be. Back in the wardrobe, under the chair. Stack it with the linen, with the silverware. Cram it in the cellar, under the stair. The winter clothes with the underwear. A woman stored hers in the ceiling overhead. For years it stayed there over top the bed. Her husband never ever heard a sound until the day it brought the ceiling down. He's got golfing and his auto parts. You've got fabric. He's got cigarettes and butter tarts. You've got fabric. Pat it in a pillow, buy a bass violin, cram it in a corner, tuck it in a tin. Turn off your freezer, fill up your bin, unplug the...
Hi, this is Janet Wright's sewing room. I thought I'd bring you in and have a little peek at my sanctuary. You can call it many things, but that's what I'm going to call it. So this hangs on the door to my room. Luckily enough, I do have an actual room all to myself. I also have a design wall. I sacrificed a quilt bat and I hung it up there on the wall. And that way I figure if I'm ever really desperate and I need a quilt bat, I've always got one hanging around. But I tell you the truth, I don't know what I'd do without it. I really use it, and as you can tell right now, there's nothing on the wall. So I am quilting right now, but this video is more important. So here we go. Here's a little tour. Here's some of the stuff that I've done over the years. This is Sewing Room. Sue, I did her many years ago. This was the challenge that Gil did a while ago. I Am Quilter, and it's got many, many different blocks in it. And then this one here is the fabric challenge that Gil did a while ago. I'm lucky enough to have a really neat looking place here for my rulers, as you can see. And I have all my gadgets hanging down here so that they're very easily accessible because this is my cutting table. Now, I'll zoom back here a little bit so you can have a better look at it. This is an old dresser that belonged to my grandmother that I wanted to keep. But I also needed a functioning cutting table. Now, if you notice anything really strange about it, it has these cans underneath it. Well, it also has a top on the top of it that's not supposed to be there. If you have a look, it comes right off. It's not supposed to come off, but it does. Now, the reason I have it built that way is that, first of all, it needed to be big enough so that I could lay a bolt out on top of it. So the husband did that for me. Then after we got it all figured out, we figured out it was too low for me. And I'm going to tell you exactly how high your cutting table is going to be here shortly. But that's the reason mine looks kind of so funny. Now, I'm lucky enough that I have a aught light that I can turn on easily. And that gives me all kinds of room, brightness, and it's also attached to my iron. So if my light is on, my iron is on. I keep a whole bunch of little knickknacks and paddywhacks in this thing. I have a whole bunch of thread and bags in here that I can get out at a moment's notice. And I also have a lot of other things in here, and it keeps me relatively organized. We can press over here, and that completes 2 pieces of the triangle. Because when you do your sewing room, if you have a whole dedicated room, one of the key things is to make a triangle. So you're going to come over here and you're going to cut. You're going to come over here and you're going to press. And then you're going to go over there and you're going to sew. We'll get back over to Queenie here in a second. One of the nice things that I really do enjoy about my quilting room is that I have a massive amount of fabric. And it is actually very, very organized. Well, not massive, maybe. Up top, we keep all our extra bats and anything that we've got for projects coming up. A couple quilts, you never know when you might need a small one, so I've got that one there. I keep little pieces of bad up here. I keep them now especially because I use them to practice, and they're really good for some other things for machine quilting. This is some other stuff that I've gathered over the years. This is one of my first attempts at machine quilting. It's kind of hideous looking now, but you know what? Hey, you got to start your first one. Husband took me hunting. He knew I was a keeper when I got a bigger bird than he did. This one here is all my Jenny Beyer fabric, and then I have a spot here of moose fabric. And if you notice, all my fabric is folded the exact same. I chose a book and I fold it all if it's big enough to go around it twice. Here's the book. Also a very good cookbook. Fix it and forget it cookbook. And that way, when I come over here and I look and I say, oh, I want a blue, I can go to blue. I can look really quick. Everything is on the fold. And I can say, well, I think I want that one right there. I can yank it out. If it's too small, then I make them fold them up a little bit smaller. And there they are like that. So we have blue, we have ballies in here, greens, you know, your typical stuff. Browns, some exciting fabric that has tractors on it. We've got some new stuff that I just finished and haven't really figured out where I'm going to put it yet. Some black. Now I keep all my jelly rolls in these. I have 2 of these. Probably need a 3rd one by now. But this keeps them very organized. And I've got them all sorted by color. So if I know I want to do a baby quilt and I need, I don't know, black, or if I need red or whatever, I can come right to this and I can choose it. Now I do tend to be a little crazy when it comes to making sure all of my fabric has been pre-washed. So this whole pile over here on my thing is all stuff that I need to wash. Stuff that I'm not really sure if people washed or not, so I'm going to leave it right there. I've got a little spot here for some cookbooks and a purse that's got a project in it because we must multitask. I don't know if anybody noticed when I looked up here, but this stuff here is off the Christmas tree. But it's quilty, so it fits in well. And this is the angel that goes on my tree and the stuff in here, but I get to look it all over all year long. This is my pit where my books and stuff are. And any project that I might be currently working on is up here on the top. I also have a spot for projects that I am currently working on, and that's this spot down here. So if I've got a bunch of mystery quilts on the go. These are the fabrics that go with them, and after it's finished, I'll put them away. This quilt needs to be quilted. This quilt needs to be bound. That quilt needs to be finished. You know how it goes. So everything that it is in here essentially is stuff that I'm working on. And of course, now we'll move along over to here. This is the thing that I bought a while ago. I think it's just adorable. It suits it in here. Little thing from Retreat. The last month I ended up tying, got a 2nd place in the challenge, so I've got it up on the wall proudly, along with the beautiful little wall hanging that Joyce made me. This is more or less a little spot here that I think is just adorable, and it suits the decor in here. And of course I made this a long time ago, but it's still probably one of my favorite pieces. So I have it right behind the sewing machine so I can see it all the time. I also like to keep little stuff. I think it's really neat that the Guild gives us stuff. So I've got the thing that says I was president and all the other little things that I've gotten from Guild. Janet Melanson made me this, and I thought it was just adorable, so I moved it into the sewing room so I could see it more often. And this is one of the first wool projects that I made, and I actually got a little ribbon on it for it. And a check, which was awesome. And back over here, haha, Queenie. This is my new sewing machine. And I've only had it about 6 months probably. But I gotta tell you ladies, one of the things that we tend to do is make do with the things that we have. And I don't know if that's such a good idea. Because I have been so impressed with my new machine compared to my old machine that was very old, that I'm now wanting to try to applique. I am now wanting to try to quilt. I'm now wanting to do all kinds of stuff. Not necessarily because it's the machine that it is, but because it is a newer machine. And it does have a lot of different things on it that it can do. Most of the stuff I'm not going to use. But for me, this little thing right here was nice. This has a huge throat plate. I can wad a quilt in there. And the best part of all is the table that it sits in. And it's very important to be sewing at a place that is comfortable. This, I had no idea how much I was going to appreciate it. Even when I brought it home, I really didn't even care about the table. But I'll tell you, it was well worth it. And it sits right in here, as you can see. So it's flush. Now this table happened to be made just for my machine, but it, like I say, they make them for most. So that's a real quick version of my sewing room. And I hope that you've enjoyed your little tour. Thanks. When did I start quilting? I saw a quilt at a camp one time that I really liked, and I found out later on that it was a rail fence quilt. And then I seen the pattern somewhere, so I picked it up. And probably waited maybe a month or so, didn't have a clue what I was doing, and made that quilt. Gave that to my best friend, because I left her at college and I wanted to give her something. When I really got into quilting, though, was when I went on maternity leave in 1999. I was home, bedridden for a little while, and bored stiff, and it was about the same time that I got my first computer. And I went online and I joined a club, a Yahoo club, that was called Learning to Quilt. And I think that's probably where the passion began. Started doing some online swaps, some piecing, and essentially learned a lot about quilting in a short period of time. I was lucky enough that I also joined the guild that year, or that fall. The guild had just started the year before that, and I got to know some really great people during Quilting Guild, and also learned a lot of techniques, probably where I've learned the most, and the most motivation comes from Guild. So I've been quilting about 14 years, and it's been quite an interesting road that I've gone down. I started out learning basics, of course, because like I said, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Then as I got better at doing that kind of stuff, what I'm finding lately is that I'm kind of getting bored with piecing. I've paper pieced. I've never been a fan of applique. I've never been a great fan of machine quilting. So what I'm finding is that later in my quilting career, I'm starting to look for patterns that are a bit on the insane side. Something that's a real challenge for me, and I'm really getting a big kick out of that stuff now. So my passion for quilting probably will never go away, but my taste in what I've done certainly has changed and will continue to change. One of the things that's really important for us is to make sure that we have our places set up well. So here's my sewing machine, and it's in a table. We know that it's okay. But do I look very comfortable sitting here? Well, I hope not, because I'm not. Now, if you look, I got it way down low so that I could show you guys. See where my arms are? It's not going to be very long if I'm doing anything at all that suddenly my shoulders are going to be killing me. My back's going to be killing me because I got to hunch over. So what I need to do is I need to bring my chair up. That's the easiest way to do it. So if I come up, feels like I got it right about right. See where my elbow is? Your elbow should be there. And that way, when you're moving your fabric around if you're quilting, or if you're pushing fabric through, you will not get your back and your stuff you won't get all tensed up. Another thing that we should always remember too is after we've been quilting for a while, stop, turn your machine off, stretch. I don't know how many times I've gone to bed, my shoulders have been killing me, and it's my own fault. So now we're going to come over to the cutting table. And what you'll find is if your cutting table is too small, you're going to hurt your back because you're down. And if it's too tall, you're going to be feeling like you need to be standing way up here. So what is the ideal level? Well, the best thing to do is to stand right beside your sewing table, just like I am like this. If you've got somebody else, get them to measure for you. Most of the time I don't, so this is what I did. Stick your ruler in here, figure out where your elbow is, and it has to be like down and comfortable. 6 inches. That's the magic number. 6 inches. Your elbow should be about 6 inches above your cutting table. That will be an ideal height. You won't have to bend over too far, and you won't have to stand up too straight. Now, one of the last things that's important is pressing, not ironing, pressing. So we have to make sure we're at the right level for that too, because we tend to do a lot of that. So what, as you can see, is that it's approximately right here, a little bit lower than my belly button, but that's not what's important. What's important is when you've got your iron down like this, take a look at my elbow. It's not down too far, it's not up too far. I can press, press, press. I'm not up here pressing, and I'm not way down here pressing. So this is the best position that you can have it for your back.